Alright, for this project we're making a snowball fight. So I don't know how many of you have been up north and got to play in the snow, but it's a fun thing to do. And one of the things that a lot of people like to do is throw snowballs at each other. So in this video, what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to learn about fades a little bit. Fades can be a great effect in video editing. If some of you that go on to digital 1 and 2, you'll do some video editing, and we'll be using some fades and some other ways to change one idea to another idea. Remember that this is visual storytelling and relies on creating illusions of time passing, illusions of proximity, illusions of motion as well. So even though this illusion that the viewer is involved in the scene is not interactive, it might feel like a little bit more when we do our fades and whatnot. So first thing we need to do is we need to go over to File and go to New, and we're going to click Standard. Remember, our frame rate should be between 24 and 30 frames per second. So click Create. All right, for this snowball effect, we're going to need 3 base layers. So the first layer, we're going to do a black frame. So I'm going to change my color to black. I'm going to make sure that my stroke is disappeared. So I'm going to go to my rectangle tool. I'm going to drag my black box across my page. So I have it like this. And I'm going to come down to my layer, double click, and I'm going to title it black. Right, I'm going to lock that layer. So now I'm going to create another layer. So click the new layer button. This one is going to be blue, as in like the sky. So I'm going to find a nice sky color that I like. Again, I want to make sure that my stroke is off. So I come over here and make sure stroke is at 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a blue sky frame over the black one. And I'm going to title this one Blue. Alright, so I labeled that one blue. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a third layer, and we're going to call it Snowball. So I'm going to title this Snow. Alright, and what I'm going to do is change my color to white. I'm going to this time use my oval tool, and I'm going to try to find a spot around the middle of the page. I'm going to draw a little bitty snowball. Right? So it doesn't have to be exactly in the center, but it'd be nice if you had it in the center. I'm just going to lock my blue layer as well, and I'm going to drag it till I feel like it's about centered. Alright, so I have my black layer, my blue layer, and my snowball layer. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my 2-second mark, and actually one past my 2-second mark, and I'm going to insert a frame. Right, I'm going to do the same for my sky layer, insert frame, and then for my black layer, I'm going to go all the way to my 4-second mark. I'm going to say insert frame. Alright, so for my snowball layer, I'm going to double click on the gray bar so I can select it. I'm going to say right click, and I'm going to say create motion tween. So this allows me to change it into a symbol. So I'm going to say OK. And now I have my motion tween. So what I want to do is I'm going to come to my 2-second mark, just past my 2-second mark. And I'm going to drag this up to the top of my page. Actually, I'm going to, not my 2-second mark, my 1-second mark. I'm going to drag it up to the top of my page by grabbing the little circle in the middle. Right, and that gives me a upward trajectory. So not only do I want it to go up, I want to change it so that it gets larger as it gets higher in the air. So I'm going to go to my transform menu. So transform, you can hit Command T or Option T, Control T. Control T. So I'm going to go over here. I want to make sure that my dimensions are locked by clicking it. I should look like this symbol right here. And then I'm just going to make it larger. Alright, now I'm going to come further in. I'm going to go to my 2-second mark, or just past my 2-second mark. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this circle all the way down to the bottom of my screen. So I'm going to hold shift as I do it. All right, and then again I'm going to go to my transform, so that was Control T. And this time I'm going to make it even bigger. So I'm going to go over to my scale height, and I'm going to increase it until it almost fills the entire page. All right, so now what it looks like is it's being thrown. So it's a trajectory, so it's getting closer, it's getting larger, and then it's starting to come down, the arc's starting to come down, and it's really close to us right there. It looks like it's about to hit the viewer. Right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to click one frame past our 2-second mark. We're going to insert a new frame, a new keyframe. So I'm going to say insert keyframe. I'm going to do the same for my blue background, insert keyframe. All right, it doesn't have to have anything on it. It doesn't have to be a specific keyframe. It can be any of them. And we're going to go to our 4-second mark, and I'm going to say insert frame. And we do the same for my snowball, insert frame. Right, so what we're going to be doing on this side is we're going to start creating the alpha, the fade out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my frame just beyond my 2-second mark, the keyframe that I just made. I'm going to go up to my properties right here. I'm going to click on object. And I want to make sure that I'm going to change my color effects to alpha. And what I'm going to do is make sure it's at 100%. And then I'm going to drag my bar about 7 frames or so. So it's at that 70 mark. I'm going to say insert keyframe all. So insert another keyframe. So my position, object. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my alpha all the way down to 0. Right, so at this first frame, I should have alpha at 100%. Mine's not at 100%, so I'm going to go back to that frame, go back to my properties, go back to object, and let's make that alpha 100%. So, so it hits the viewer, and then it gradually fades to 0 alpha. So we're going to do the same thing for the sky. So to do that, we're going to double click on the gray bar after the 2-second mark. We're going to right click and we're going to say, we're going to unlock it. So unlock it, we're going to right click and say create motion tween. Right, so now we have a motion tween. Actually, it didn't do it. Let's do it again. So double click, right click, create motion tween. All right, so now we can see it's a tween because it turned that yellowish goldish color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the same frame as before. Right beyond it, I'm going to right click. I'm going to click so I get 1 frame. And then say insert keyframe. I'm going to say all. And then again, we're going to do the same thing we did for the snowball. We're going to go to our alpha channel, turn to object. We're going to say alpha effects. And we're going to drag that to 0. We're going to go back to this one. Click on it. Make sure our alpha effects are at 100% on that one. So alpha at 100, 0. So now when we do it, it's getting closer, closer, closer. And it fades to black. All right, so that is the viewer realizing they just got hit, and it fades out into nothingness. So let's loop this by clicking the loop thing. We're going to drag our play area all the way to the ends, and we're going to hit play. Let's see how it plays. So it looks to me like it's a little bit slow. You can speed that up if you like. So right towards the end, it's a little bit slow. So what you could do is you could move this point to another point on the, so it has a little bit more speed as it fades out. So I just clicked on it and then dragged it. So let's see if that makes a difference. So it's slower, 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 slower is coming. All right, so yeah, so that speeds it up a little bit. It makes it a little bit nicer. So now all you have to do is we're going to go to File, we're going to save it once, we're going to title it Snowball, click Save, and then now we're going to export it. So Animate again, File, Export as animated GIF. We want to make sure our transparency is off, remember? So we don't want anything, because if we do, anything that's white will become transparent, so make sure that's off. And we're going to come down here. You can have it loop however many times you want, and then we're going to click Save. I'm going to title Snowball GIF is fine, click Save again. And that is your Snowball. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this.